Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. There are parts of the countryside which wake each day to a morning mist which has settled thickly during the dew-falling night. Through it, the trees have a waiting look. Hills seem to be further off than they are. Cattle look motionless as they graze. White farm horses move and turn in slow and stately unison. Everything is waiting for the sun.
You don't know me, right? Am I right? And I don't know you, correct?
Yes.
Well, then, why is it? Now, I'm asking you in all seriousness, you understand?
I understand.
Why is it I'm so crazy in love with you? I think I'm losing my mind.
Our mystery drama, Out of the Mist, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Elspeth Eric and stars Russell Horton. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
And now, Cava Classroom. 30 intellectual seconds of coffee drinking pleasure with smooth and friendly Cava Instant Coffee. The great tasting coffee that's 90% acid neutralized. Cava is good news for us smart guys who are sometimes bothered by ordinary coffee. Because acid neutralized Cava means less acid in the cup. So graduate to the smooth coffee. Have a cup of 90% acid neutralized. Try Cava, the smooth and friendly coffee.
I could have had rye toast, 61 calories. I could have had 11 carrots and a glass of water.
You could have had a V8, naturally low in calories and tastes great, too.
I could have had a V8?
V8 cocktail vegetable juice with only 35 calories per 6-ounce serving. V8, the great-tasting, healthful blend of 8 country vegetables.
Wow, I could have had a V8.
It's never too late.
I'll have a V8.
Here is another important message from Walgreens. With prices of everything going up these days, Walgreens believes it's timely to remind you of the cost-saving advantages of generic prescription drugs. Many of the medicines that doctors prescribe most are available under 2 names, a trademarked advertised brand name, and also under the pharmaceutical generic name. As with many widely promoted and advertised products, the name brand costs more, even though there is no basic difference in the medicine itself or the quality. The real difference is in the price. Generics can save up to 50% over name brands. Ask your doctor to specify that your prescription be filled with a generic equivalent if available. This message is another in a series from Walgreens concerning your health, your money, and generics.
And here's another savings in the healthcare center at Walgreens. Hold, 4-hour cough suppressant and decongestant is on special sale. Tube of 10, only 79 cents through tomorrow, Wednesday, at Walgreens.
Slowly, the morning mist starts to thin out, begins to rise from the ground. Each horse and cow stands in clear outline, and the pasture where they browse shows itself for what it is. Country people call this process burning off. It means the sun has gone to work. The story we bring you now is called Out of the Mist.
I'm crazy about my motorcycle. It's a road bike, fast and light. Great off-the-line acceleration. I love it. The other thing I love is the country. I never even saw the country till I was 19. And if it hadn't been for my bike, I might have lived my whole life without even knowing it was there. My name is Harry Steers. I graduated high school and went right to work in the garment district with the idea of working up the salesman. I might have made it if I hadn't bought my bike. I started riding out of the city on my day off. I saw trees, all kinds. I saw animals, big ones, little ones. I saw fields of corn and clover and daisies. Most important of all, I met the old man. He was standing in front of an old white house trimming a hedge. He looked to be about 100 years old, but I found out later he was only 90. Hi there. Good morning. That's a nice-looking hedge. What do you call it? There's Privet. You're not from around here, are you?
No, I'm from the Bronx.
We have Privet in the Bronx, too. Are you interested in Privet?
Not especially. I'm interested in everything about the country, everything that grows out of the ground. You know, I never knew that carrots lived under the earth.
You think they grew on bushes?
Never thought about it at all. Carrots were just something in the supermarket. If it wasn't for this baby here, I might never have found out.
You mean a motorcycle?
Yeah. Well, nice talking to you.
Yes, it was very nice talking to you.
Hey, listen, do you know there's a flower, I guess it's a flower. I see it along the side of the road a lot lately, a fantastic blue color.
Oh, that's chicory.
Chicory? No, that's not chicory.
It's not?
No, chicory's what my grandmother used to put in coffee.
Well, she was using the root of the domesticated variety. What you see along the road is the wild chicory. It blooms in late summer.
Well, I'd like to take some back to the Bronx.
Well, I'm afraid you couldn't do that. Wildflowers don't like to be transplanted. They like to wander, follow their impulses. They don't wish to be told what to do, where to go, where to live. They want to be free to roam, take up residence in a spot of their own choosing.
How about that?
And they will brook no interference.
Gee, wow.
You have to admire their spirit.
I do. I admire it.
You want to be on your way to the Bronx.
I guess so.
But if you're ever up this way again, stop by, huh?
Well, I'll do that. I'll certainly do that.
Goodbye. And don't forget.
That's what changed my life. Put its mark on me forever. A little talk with an old man about privet and chicory and carrots, and an invitation to come back. I could hardly wait. If I'd known what would come of it. But I didn't know. And I was having the time of my life. I bought a paperback and I started to learn about wildflowers. Purple loosestrife, cinquefoil, bee balm, butter and eggs, vervain. I went crazy. I couldn't wait to see all those wild things growing out of the ground. On my very next day off, me and my bike stopped off at the old man's house. Hi there. I'm back. Remember me?
Yeah, of course. The young man who was interested in chicory.
Yeah, and that's not all. I bought a book. You see? I carry it around with me all the time.
Oh, I have several books on wildflowers. Would you care to have a look?
Hey, would I? Now?
Come inside and I'll get my housekeeper to make us coffee. Or would you prefer a drink of some sort?
Oh, anything at all. Listen, Mr.
Bell, Calvin Bell.
What do you know about hollyhocks?
Very little. It's very difficult to raise from seed, although I have succeeded from time to time. Most people buy the seedlings. Here we are. Miss Peters. Mrs. Peters.
Yes, Mr. Bell?
We have a guest.
Well, now, that's nice.
This is Harry Steers from the Bronx. He drove up here on his motorcycle.
Is that so?
We'd be obliged to you for some coffee, Miss Peters.
I'll see to it. Very pleasant meeting you, Mr. Steers.
Oh, same here, Mrs. Peters. Sir, there's something in the book. It's called bee balm. I see it along the road some. Great shade of red.
Some people have tried to domesticate it and call it bergamot. But I don't hold with that. I don't care for the whole idea of taking wild things and taming them. I like to leave things alone. Let them wander the earth as they please. Same thing with animals. I can't tolerate the thought of putting animals in a zoo for people to stare at and to laugh at and sometimes tease and feed unnatural things to, which can make them sick. Sometimes it seems as though man has a morbid desire to get his hands on everything that grows and do something with it. Twist it, turn it, take it apart. mistaken into something it isn't, something different, more to his personal liking.
Mr. Bell, you shouldn't get yourself all worked up.
Yeah. No, I shouldn't. You're quite right. After all, I'm 90 years old, you know.
Oh, you could have fooled me.
Look here, if you're so interested in wild things, if you really like the country...
Well, I am. I do a lot.
Well, why don't you move up here? Forget about that Bronx place. Move in here with me. I got a big house. There's plenty of room.
Well, what would I do? Could I work around the place, maybe?
Hey, listen. I'm about 20 miles from Seneca. That's where the university is. I'll enroll you there, and you can study to become a botanist. What do you think of that?
Well, it'd cost money. Well, I could sell my bike.
No, there's no need. Keep it. Do you know, Mr. Steers, that there are wildflowers which are endangered? Trailing arbutus, bitter bloom, all the trilliums.
Well, you mean endangered like wild animals?
Precisely. Endangered species. The bluebell, the nodding wake robin, the cardinal flower, the butterfly weed. City people come for a drive in the country, and they think it's great sport to pick the pretty flowers. Of course, the little things die within the hour, but what do the predators care? Harry, there are laws on the books against picking endangered wildflowers. Well, with your bike, you could police these people, these hunters.
Arrest them?
Yeah, track them down, report them. Or just tell them to stop and tell them why. Sometimes they'll cooperate if they understand.
Well, I guess I could do that.
Yeah, sure you could. Protect my wild beauties. Yes. I'm too old. I can't go out on the roads and the highways. But you can. What do you say, Harry? Come on, indulge an old man. Will you, Harry?
You're very hard to say no to, Mr. Bell.
Here's your coffee, Mr. Bell.
Say yes, Harry.
There's cream and sugar if you want them.
Wait a minute. I'm going to fetch some superlative brandy. It's been in the cellar for 20 years. And today is the day to open it.
What's Mr. Bell so wrought up about?
Oh, just an idea he's got.
Something to do with his precious wildflowers?
Yeah, that was part of it.
Wanted you to help him save the poor, helpless things,
Sort of. Mrs. Peters, he wants to put me through the university.
Well, if you go to the university, you'll see a painting of Mr. Bell hanging in the front hall. A fine-looking man in his 20s. Tall, handsome, strong-looking. He came into a pile of money when he was young, and first thing he did was give half of it to the university.
To the botany department, I'll bet.
Yep. That's why they hung his picture in the main hall. But now, well, he's an old man, and he has notions. His mind wanders a lot. Remembering things, I suppose.
Well, he seems very okay to me.
Yes, well, I just thought you should be told.
I did it. It was a chance I couldn't pass up. I moved in with Calvin Bell. And come fall, I signed up at the university, majoring in botany. Every morning of my life, I walked to the main hall and saluted the painting of Calvin Bell as a young man. Mrs. Peters was right. He'd been a great-looking guy in his day. Better than 6 feet tall, with bright brown eyes and wavy hair. And he was a nice old coot now, even if his eyes were dimmed. He walked with a stoop, and most of his wavy brown hair had fallen out. We got along fine. Actually, everything was just about perfect. Till I met that girl. Well, even that was good at the beginning. The trouble came later.
The wildflowers are disappearing. The animals are becoming superfluous. There are those who think that the entire countryside will one day be smothered by lofty apartment buildings, huge shopping centers, and enormous parking lots. The entire earth will be man-made, and God's work will be only incidental. I'll be back shortly with Act Two.
I'm Susan Anton. It's a good feeling to sleep the night away on a perfect sleeper violin. Pillow Soft is the ultimate in sleep. Unique extra thick cushioning for heavenly comfort on top. Ultra firm support inside. Perfect sleeper Pillow Soft. Firmness that feels good. Be a perfect sleeper. Buy a perfect sleeper. Perfect sleeper. Buy.
At the store, they told me there's a powerful anti-itch drug I can buy without a doctor's prescription. Now, I use Bicozine cream as directed. No more burning, embarrassing itching. No more scratching. Bicozine actually speeds healing. Bicozine cream. What a relief.
For constipation, remember X-Lax pills, the overnight wonder. X-Lax pills, the overnight wonder. X-Lax pills, for occasional use only as directed.
You know, the way the cost of living pressures everyone's pocketbook these days, the only way left to save any money at all is by shopping. Shopping for everything. Well, that holds true for auto insurance as well as everything else, too. Sure, you can save money on your auto insurance without sacrificing any coverage. You see, the quality of protection is not measured by price, and most people who drive overpay for the insurance coverage they receive. Now, you could very well be in this overpaying group. Why don't you call Arco American for a free quotation to discover if you can save up to 30% on your auto insurance? Arco American, you know, is one of Chicagoland's largest insurance agencies, and for over 22 years now, they've been finding the right insurance coverage for their clients. So do this. Call the S94677 for your free phone quotation. The professionals at Arco American are expert at shopping and saving money for you. Call the S94677. Arco American, AARCO. They're open till 7 p.m. weekdays. Call for your free phone quotation to see if you qualify. S94677.
What difference will it make to our grandchildren if they never see a wild primrose, or a Johnny Jump-Up, or Chinese candles? Will they know or care that these were flowers that grew freely with no help from man at all? Will it matter if they never have a chance to see an eland, or a kudu, or a dik-dik? Probably it will have no significance whatsoever, because they cannot know what they have missed, what civilization has stolen from them.
This is how I met the girl. It was 8 o'clock in the morning, and the mist hadn't even begun to lift. It was a wonder I saw her at all. She wasn't riding a thumb. She was no hitchhiker. She was just standing there on the far side of the rise that goes over the old abandoned single-track railroad. I was already late for my first class at the university. I can't imagine what made me pull up. You oughtn't to be standing out in the middle of the road like that.
Oh, why not?
Well, you could get run over.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, I could have run you down with my bike just now. See, there's a rise here, a little hill where the road goes over the old railway. I always give it the gun not to lose speed and then sort of flip over on the other side. Evil Knievel stuff, you know? That was supposed to be a joke.
Oh.
Well, I don't know why they don't level off this stretch of road. The railroad stopped running years ago. I don't even know where it went to.
To Miller's Ridge.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, it does.
Well, it would if it was running.
Yes.
You know what? I've never been to Miller's Ridge. I've heard of it, but I've never been there.
Oh, it's just a post office, really, and a few houses. I used to live in one of those houses.
Yeah?
Before I went away to school.
Well, I better be getting to class. I got an exam coming up. Nice talking to you.
Goodbye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you.
And remember what I told you about not standing in the mist like that. Wait till it burns off if you want a summer ride. You wouldn't want to get run down by a bike, would you?
A bike?
A bike, a motorcycle. This baby here.
Oh.
Well, Better get on the stick. This exam is very important to me. I'm studying to be a botanist.
That's nice. It's very nice.
Concentrating on wildflowers. Yeah, I'm from the Bronx, New York. I'm hung up on wildflowers. How about that?
I think it's nice.
Oh, you see that? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
That is Queen Anne's lace.
No, it's not.
It certainly is.
It's yarrow.
No, that's Queen Anne's lace.
Look at it.
You know, you're right. It's yarrow.
It's hard to tell unless you're close up. They do look alike, but Queen Anne's lace is pretty and delicate. Yarrow is, well...
Like, more coarse.
More coarse, yes.
You look like Queen Anne's lace.
Me?
Pretty and delicate.
You'd better get on to your class at the university.
Yeah, I guess I better. See you again, I hope. You're not going to believe this, but I was in love. I was in love. I was a whole different person entirely from the one I'd been. I was nice. I was good. I felt like I wanted to be kind to everybody all over the world. I'm telling you, I sailed right through that exam. The questions were so easy I had to laugh. The professor looked surprised when I was the first one to hand in my book. But I tossed it on his desk, flashed him a smile, and swaggered out. All I wanted was to get back to the girl in the mist. Only... there wasn't any mist now. It had all burned off by noon, the way it always does. But there she was, a little way down the slope, led to the old railroad track. Hi there.
Hello, Mr. Spears.
I came back.
Yes, you did, didn't you? I hoped you would.
Oh, what have you been doing all this time?
Oh, just wandering around.
Looking for wildflowers?
Some of the time.
Anybody try to pick you up or anything?
No?
You want to be careful of that kind of thing, you know?
Why?
Why? Well, the way things are. Don't you read the papers about what happens?
I don't read the papers.
All kinds of things happen. But then, you weren't looking to be picked up, were you?
I don't think so.
What were you looking to do?
I wanted to get to Miller's Ridge.
Were you going to walk?
I guess so.
You want to see a family, is that it? Or are you married?
I'm not married. Not yet.
Oh, that's good. It's your family you want to see, right?
I just want to see the house. Because I used to live there.
Oh, you're sentimental about it, right?
Oh, yes. Very sentimental.
Yeah, I can empathize with that. I really can. I was born in a terrible house, a really awful, dinky, unattractive. But I've always thought that when I make some money, I'm going to buy that house. Gruesome as it was, I'll never really forget it.
This house isn't gruesome. It's pretty.
Well, what do you say? You want me to take you there?
Would you?
Oh, I'd do a lot more than that for you. So, hop on. Right here. Now, if you kind of hitch up your skirt...
Oh.
You really ought to be wearing jeans, but,
Oh, my goodness.
What, that scare you? That's how you jump a bike. Come on. Put your arms around my waist.
Should I?
Well, if you don't want to fall off, you should. That's it. So, off we go into the wild blue whatever. She didn't grab hold of me like some girls would that have never ridden tandem on a bike before. I could hardly feel her arms around me. I had to look down and see her hands clasped together and her thumbs tucked inside my belt. Every so often I'd turn around and see this sweet face behind me. The sweetest face I'd ever seen in my whole life. Innocent and lovable. Like a wildflower. Where Where's this house you want to see?
You keep going until you see a big oak tree. A really enormous one. Oh, there it is. See it?
Oh, yeah. They must be 900 years old.
You go left just beyond it. There's a dirt road.
Dirt road? I didn't know they had those anymore.
Right here. Turn left.
Gotcha. Hold on.
You keep going a little ways. The house will be on the right. It's a very small house, but I'll know it as soon as I see it. Oh, there. There it is.
Little white one?
Yes, that's it.
Cute. That's cute. There's your house. Well, what now?
You've been so nice. I hate to ask you, but would you do one more thing for me?
Well, I guess I'd do anything for you.
Would you ask the people in there if they'd let me come in? Just to look around, sort of.
Well, why don't you ask them?
I'm afraid to. They don't know me.
Well, they don't know me either. I don't know them. Well, you come right down to it. I don't really know you. I don't even know your name.
It's Anne. Anne Campbell.
That's a pretty name. Anne Campbell.
I'm glad you like it.
Do you? Oh, and that's a pretty house. And I like all that fancy stuff. Makes it look like a valentine.
Oh, all that fancy stuff is carved out of wood.
Live and learn, right?
Carpenter's Gothic. That's what they call this kind of house.
Looks like lace, you know?
They used to call it the Lace House when I lived here.
Anne Campbell of the Lace House. Queen Anne's Lace House.
You're teasing me.
No, I'm not. You look like a queen to me. A little young queen.
Well, are you going to ask the people if I can come in?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's important to me.
Well, then I'll do it. Now, you stay right there.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate this.
Anybody home? I don't know if there's anybody home.
Please try.
Is anybody home here?
What do you want?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Who are you?
My name's Harry Steers. I live with Mr. Calvin Bell, the old gentleman that
Now,
has...
what are you doing here?
It's not for me. I got somebody with me. She used to live here.
Well, plenty of people used to live here, plenty.
And she'd like
but
to...
not for long.
To come in. Yeah.
They all move out.
If you don't mind...
And that's what we're going to do. Move out.
She slammed the door in my face. I felt terrible. Anne must have heard the whole thing. I wanted to put my arms around her and hold her and tell her not to mind. We'd come back some other time. But just as I was figuring out what to say and how to say it, I looked at the spot where I'd left her, and she wasn't there. She'd gone. I looked all up and down the dirt road. I asked everybody I could find, had they seen a young girl? Nobody had. Finally, it was getting dark, and I got on my bike and went home. I went right up to Mr. Bell's room. I knew he'd be lying down. He always did before dinner. I didn't even knock on his door. I went right in. Mr. Bell?
Hey.
Excuse me, but I got to tell you what happened today.
You passed the examination.
Oh, that, yeah, sure. But, Mr. Bell, I fell in love with a girl. Now, don't laugh. It's a fact.
Oh, I wouldn't laugh.
I picked her up on my bike. She wanted to go to Miller's Ridge.
Miller's Ridge?
Yeah, to visit a house there. She used to live in it. It's the prettiest house you ever saw. They used to call it the Lace House, she said.
The Lace House.
Yeah. Now, the girl, her name is Anne.
Anne?
I call her Queen Anne of the Lace House because she reminds me of Queen Anne's lace, so soft and dainty, and I love her, Mr. Bell. I want to marry her, and I'm going to. Mr. Bell?
Dinner's about ready, Mr. Bell.
I think he fell asleep, Mrs. Peters.
I've got the table all set. Oh, my. Oh, my. He isn't sleeping, Mr. Steers. He's dead.
Times have changed. Not many people stop to pick up strangers on the road anymore. And I've noticed that people seldom strike up conversations with strangers these days, pass the time of day, or exchange pleasantries. For that matter, you hardly ever see people smile at each other anymore, unless they know each other pretty well. Yes, times have changed, and it's sad. I'll be back with Act 3 shortly.
Walter Cronkite, one of a kind, writing, editing, working with the superb CBS News team to gather and report the news. The daily, constant pressure of being the best. And there's only one place you can find this anchor man, this editor, this team. Good evening. After strong but Cronkite and Company, only on the CBS Evening News.
Monday through Friday on the CBS Television Network.
I like pickles, but they don't like me.
I like pizza, but it doesn't like me.
Digel's special combination of antacid and anti-gas ingredients gives you fast, gentle relief from acid indigestion, heartburn, and gas in just minutes. I like hot dogs, but they don't like me. For occasional use, only as directed.
Добрый день. Добро пожаловать в Советский Союз.
Willkommen in Deutschland.
Buongiorno. Benvenuti in Italia.
If you have to fly from Chicago to the center of Europe, you ought to know about Swiss Air and its Swiss Class service. Swiss Class is the reason most demanding business travelers prefer to fly Swiss Air. The fact is, Swiss Air has one of the highest percentages of repeat passengers. Swiss Class isn't just a gourmet meal or a warm smile. It's a dedication to detail up and down the line. It's more room because on our wide-body jets, there's one less seat per row in economy than on most other airlines. And Swiss Air has not raised its normal North Atlantic economy airfare during the last few years. Swiss Class. It's why business travelers fly Swiss Air again and again. Fly Swiss Air to 93 cities in 63 countries on 5 continents. Swiss Air, we fly the world's Swiss Class with wide-body jets from O'Hare to Switzerland, 6:45 p.m. every day.
When you step into Polk Brothers Television Department, your eyes go wild. Hundreds of brand new, brand name 1980 models turned on and operating. You'll see the name Sony on portables, consoles, black and white, and beautiful color. Sony video tape recorders, the Sony Betamax video cassette recorder. Polk Brothers has all the newest Sony models ready for you now, like the new 1980 26-inch console color TV. It's the redesigned Lifestyle series with a host of brand new features. What's more, it's Polk priced with a Polk trade-in allowance now while it's new. And with your Sony, a Polk Brothers free gift that's also brand new. A $7.95 hardcover edition of Wally Phillips' new book, The Wally Phillips People Book. They're scarce, so only one to a family, please. And you get a free copy of his book with your purchase of any Sony TV, black and white or color, at all Polk Brothers family stores. Weeknights till 10, Sundays till 6.
No denying it. Fear has come to pervade our lives. And with fear comes suspicion. With suspicion comes hostility. And when hostility takes over, violence is sure to follow. Until peace and trust are things of the past. Lost to us. As though they had never existed. As though we no longer know what they mean. What they ever were.
That really shook me up. Calvin Bell dying like that right when I was telling him about Anne and me being in love with her and wanting to marry her. After we buried him, a lawyer came to the house and read his will. He'd left his house and a bunch of money to Mrs. Peters, and something I certainly never expected, quite a few $1,000s to me. Mrs. Peters said she'd sell the house eventually, but till she did, I could certainly go on living there. And so I did. And I kept on going to the university to learn about wildflowers. And every morning, on the way, I looked for Anne. And every afternoon on the way back, sometimes I think I saw her coming toward me out of the mist. Other times I'd look down at that old single-track railway and think I saw her standing on the roadbed or sitting on the slope to one side or the other. But I never really saw her. Not even on my way home when there was no mist and I could see everything quite clearly. One day, I took it into my head to go to the lace house at Miller's Ridge. There was a sign in front of the house, and it said, "For sale, Agent Nicholas Vaughn." I went to see Mr. Vaughn.
Yes, sir?
You Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Well, I want to see about buying a house in Miller's Ridge.
Oh? Any particular house you have in mind?
A little white house, carpenter's Gothic style. Someone told me it used to be called the Lace House.
Yeah, I believe it was once called the Lace House. Charming place. Needs a few things done to it, but it certainly...
Well, anything it needs, I'll have it done. I want it.
Well, aren't you curious about the price?
Well, I've got a little money. Calvin Bell left me some money. I'm Harry Steers.
Oh, yes. Well, the house has been empty for some time now.
I want it.
It's had quite a few owners. I'd have to inquire about the asking price.
I want that house.
Mr. Steers, naturally, I'd be pleased to make the sale, but do you mind telling me why you're so set on buying this particular house?
I want it.
Well, frankly, Mr. Steers, that house has been, well, it's sort of a jinx. Everyone's enchanted with the house when they first see it, but once they've moved in, they take a dislike to it. They tell strange tales about strange goings-on.
Like what?
Oh, sobbing in the night, restless footsteps on the stairs. Oh, I know, those are the standard complaints when a house has the reputation of being haunted, but everyone who's lived there said the same thing. I just thought you should know.
I want it. Did I know what I was doing? No. I just went ahead and did it. I moved into the house and waited for something to happen. It's true, I did hear very strange noises sometimes. Like slow, heavy footsteps. And a kind of crying sometimes. Low, strangled sobs is what they sounded like.
No.
But none of these things bothered me. They were a kind of company for me. Because I was lonely. Lonely and waiting. Then, one morning, I was riding my bike to school, and all of a sudden, out of the mist... Anne, it's you. It is you, isn't it?
Hello, Harry.
Well, it's been almost a year.
Almost.
But you look just the same.
So do you.
You know, I've been looking for you every morning, every afternoon, too. Sometimes I thought I saw you, but I never did, really.
I saw you.
You did? Why didn't you ever stop me?
I don't know.
I just can't believe, finally, after all this time... Look, you still want to go to Miller's Ridge?
Oh, yes.
To the Lace House?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I'll take you. Hop on.
Will I be able to go inside?
You bet you will.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. You know why?
No. Tell me.
Because it's my house now.
Really? You mean it?
I bought it.
Why did you do that?
I don't know. I thought maybe I'd find you there, I guess. Nah, that's not it. I thought I'd find you somewhere, like here, standing in the mist, and I'd take you to the house, and I'd take you inside, and tell you how much I love you, and then we get married there. You all set?
Yes.
So, off we go into the wherever. Have you got any idea how I felt when I pulled up in front of the Lace house, helped her off the bike, and led her up to the front door. Took out the key, unlocked and opened it. Her eyes opened about a mile wide when we stepped into the front hall. And then she started running all over the place, touching everything. You'd think I'd let her into paradise. After a while, I left the house and went over to see Mrs. Peters. I don't know if Ann even knew I was gone.
Why, Mr. Steers, and how are you? Well, you're looking splendid, I must say.
Well, that's what I am, Mrs. Peters, just splendid.
Oh, pardon the mess around here. I sold the house, you know.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Oh, yes. Mr. Vaughn got me a real nice price for it. Oh, but my heavens, cleaning out all that stuff that's accumulated, you've no idea. All that clutter.
Well, it wasn't like Mr. Bell to throw anything away.
Truer word was never spoke. Well, now, and you, how are you getting along in your little lace house?
Well, that's what I came over to talk to you about, Mrs. Peters.
Oh, now, you're not happy there. What is it? The ghost's been bothering you?
Well, not a bit.
I always thought that was a lot of talk.
Mrs. Peters, when I bought the Lace house, I didn't really know exactly why I was doing it.
Got it cheap, that's what I figured.
I bought it for a girl.
A girl? Why, Mr. Steers, I didn't even know you had a girl.
Well, I didn't. I just met her on my way to the university, and then one more time on my way back. That was almost a year ago. She wanted to visit the Lace house. She used to live there, so I took her. But the woman who lived in it wouldn't let us in. Screamed at us, as a matter of fact. And when I went back to speak to Ann, to sort of comfort her, she was gone. But Mrs. Peters, by that time, I was in love with her. I mean, in love, really in love.
Well, for mercy's sake, tell me about it, my gracious.
Oh, she's just wonderful, Mrs. Peters, like a wildflower.
Young girl, huh?
Yeah, she's young.
Family?
Oh, I don't know. She didn't say.
You've never been married before?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Well, long as she loves you.
Well, she didn't exactly say that either.
Well, now, don't you think that...
Mrs. Peters, I love her enough for both of us. And when I talk about the wedding and everything, it's what I want to talk to you about, the wedding.
Oh, I love a wedding.
Now, will you come to it?
Oh, you just try and keep me away.
And if you'd sort of help plan it, I think Ann would appreciate it.
That's her name, huh? Ann.
Ann Campbell, yeah. Look, we thought, I thought we should sort of rehearse it. I mean, isn't that usually what people do?
I believe so, yeah.
We could do that this afternoon, if that's all right with you. This is the anniversary of the day I met her for the first time. A year ago, September 15th. And today, the same day, 1 year later, I meet her again. It just seems, appropriate. So is it okay with you?
Well, I guess so. Yes, it's all right.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Peters.
I hope you're doing the right thing. I really hope you are. Now, I think the minister should stand here in front of that fireplace. Now, let me pretend I'm the minister for now. Harry, now you stand on my left. Now, I think that's correct.
Right, okay.
And Anne, would you like to make an entrance down the stairs? What do you think? Whatever you say. It's such an informal wedding. Maybe if you just come in from the dining room. Now, how would that be? All right. And you walk up to the fireplace and stand just to my right. That'll be the minister's right. You want to try that, dear? All right. Now, the door from the dining room will be open just as it is now. All right, dear. Now, you come in now. All right. That's it, dear. Now, stand right about there, and then the minister starts to say those beautiful words about being gathered here in the sight of God and so on to unite this man and this woman in holy matrimony.
No.
A voice came from the foot of the stairs. I looked up, and so did Mrs. Peters. But Anne was already looking at where the voice was coming from. She was looking at... Yes. At a man. Young, tall, handsome, with wavy brown hair. It was Calvin Bell. I knew him from the painting. Calvin Bell when he was a young man. And he walked over to my little Queen Anne, and she put her hand in his, and they disappeared together.
There's no explaining these things, Harry.
Well, you saw him too, didn't you, Mrs. Peters?
Oh, yes. Nobody would believe me if I told them, so I'm not going to try. It'll be between you and me, Harry.
Yeah, that's the best way, I think.
I brought you something I found in the attic. It's a newspaper clipping. I'm going to read it to you, and you can make up your own mind. It says, "The morning train to Miller's Ridge was derailed yesterday due to mechanical failure. Many of the passengers were injured, but none fatally, with the exception of Miss Anne Campbell, who was returning to Miller's Ridge in order to marry Mr. Calvin Bell." The date on the newspaper, Harry, is September 15, 1912.
I put the house up for sale. I'm back in the Bronx now, teaching botany in one of the high schools. I haven't had even one offer for the Lace House. People think it's haunted. And I guess they're right.
I shall make no statement about haunted houses, either for or against, though there are those who claim they have lived with ghosts and even taken their pictures. But if the Lace House is haunted by the ghosts of Anne Campbell and Calvin Bell, why, then it must be a very happy place indeed. I'll be back shortly.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. From time to time, we come across a story so unexplainable, so incredible, that we just cannot pass it by. So today, no mystery to challenge your powers of deduction, for there is no rational explanation of what happened. However, if you care to accompany me into the land of the uncharted and unknown, I think it will be well worth your while. Certain things that occur have no explanation, but that makes them no less worthy of repeating on Mystery Theater.
Dr. Kingsley, you're suggesting I take art classes? But I'm an airplane pilot.
Alan, you're a grounded pilot. That is quite different.
But, Doctor, I wouldn't want anyone to know I'm undergoing psychiatric care.
But nobody will. You have no choice. Now, there's one thing you must have to get back into mental shape.
And what's that, Doctor?
Peace of mind.
Our mystery drama, Second Sight, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by James Agate Jr. and stars Michael Tolan. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
When you're traveling across the country, there's a sign that seems looks like a big yellow sun. It's a sign of quality. Quality is the most common.
got business friends or relatives coming in from out of town, put them up under the sun at a nearby Quality Inn. They'll find a warm welcome waiting and all the comforts Quality Inns are famous for. Make an out-of-towner feel right at home. Call your local Quality Inn or call us toll-free for reservations at the most comfortable place under the sun.
The most comfortable place under the sun.
Il Villaggio Trattoria. 3 distinctive dining rooms, 3 distinctive menus. Here's gourmet on the go, Edward Robert Brooks, to tell us about it.
Italian cuisine for every mood. Il Villaggio Trattoria in Palos Heights. When pizza, sandwiches, or pasta will do, visit the Cantina. Open for lunch and dinner, the Cantina also features salads and a unique Paisano cheese and fruit luncheon. On more formal occasions, sample another dining room, La Piazza, for lunch or dinner. Try veal scallopini marsala, scampi on a skewer, or fettuccine. For special evenings when you want the ultimate, make dinner reservations in the third dining room, Cafe Venezia. Enjoy northern Italian cuisine at its best. Veal sautéed with mushrooms and flamed in cognac, or poached over sole in cream sauce with truffles. Il Villaggio Trattoria, 119th in Harlem and Palos Heights. Fine Italian cuisine in your choice of 3 dining rooms. Phone 361-1166, 361-1166.
To put you in a receptive frame of mind for today's Mystery Theater, let me ask you this. Suppose you looked into the mirror but didn't see your own reflection. Or suppose you opened a newspaper and there was your own obituary. Or suppose you saw in a flash something that had not yet happened. Would you feel you were responsible if the following day it did come to pass and it was a murder? Questions like these are not answered easily, if at all, by scientist, doctor, or psychiatrist. Certainly not by Dr. Marvin Kingsley.
Dr. Kingsley, it's good of you to see me on such short notice.
Well, I'm happy to work with your Air Pilots Association. Your full name, please.
Alan Harvey.
And you're an airline pilot, correct?
I was an airline pilot, but...
You don't have to say any more. I'm aware of your problem.
But I want to say more. If you're going to help me, Dr. Kingsley, I've got to tell you everything as I see it, not as my airline sees it.
Go ahead.
I've been on international flights for 10 years. I've flown around the world I don't know how many times. I'm a million-mile pilot several times over. And then, one day on my flight to the Caribbean, it happened. I'll never forget it. We were making good time, in spite of headwinds and visibility zero.
Are you still on automatic, Alan?
What'd you say, Charlie?
I said, are
Charlie,
you still...
Look out there. Do you see what I see?
Yeah. Nothing.
No, that object flying across at 3 o'clock.
Come on, Alan. There's nothing out there.
Check the scope, will you?
Nothing. Nothing's on the scope.
Not a blip?
Not a blip.
It's gone.
Alan, are you all right?
Of course I'm all right.
I don't know. You're seeing things I don't see.
That was the first time, Dr. Kingsley.
You thought you saw an object in the sky?
I didn't think I saw it. I know I saw it.
During the month of September, you reported sighting various objects in mid-flight which made no impression on the electronic monitoring gear.
That's why I was grounded. I was just as glad. You know, Doctor, you can take just so much kidding about seeing unidentifiable flying objects.
The UFOs?
I never saw any UFOs. I saw men in the sky, standing upright, holding flags, national colors which I couldn't identify. I saw mountaintops with cows grazing on them. A skyscraper 100 stories high in black marble. I saw too much. What do you think, Doctor?
Well, what you saw in the skies is obviously very real to you. Now, for starters, I'm going to recommend a complete rest, but I mean complete.
Rest? I'll go crazy doing nothing.
Oh, I neglected to ask you, Alan. Are you married?
No, I'm not. I was once, but that was a long time ago. I live by myself.
Here in Greenfield?
Right on North Chatham Street.
Oh, I'm not suggesting you just sit and vegetate. Do you have any hobbies or interests other than your job?
Well, let me see. Years ago, I was interested in becoming a painter. Even now, I've sort of kept up. Sometimes I'll take a sketch pad and draw.
Oh, good. What kind of things?
Lately, I've been drawing the objects I've observed from the cockpit.
Well, why not enroll in some art class? That would occupy you and challenge you. You know, the university I teach at has a very fine art department. Would that appeal to you?
What good would it do me? I'm a flyer. I'm never going to make it as an artist.
Well, it would give you another outlet for your energies. Let me put in a call to Jacob Greer, who runs the department. He teaches a few classes also. See, I know Jacob personally, and I'm sure he'd take you in.
I don't know. How long should I do it?
Well, let's not set any limits for the present. See, there's one thing you need more than anything else, and perhaps drawing in a class with other people will help you achieve it.
What one thing? What do I need?
Peace of mind, Alan.
I'm happy to meet you, Mr. Harvey. I'm Jacob Greer. Marvin Kingsley tells me you'd like to join one of our art classes. Have you ever drawn a live model before?
No, I haven't, Mr. Greer. I brought along the kind of sketches I've done, mostly in my spare time, you understand.
Uh-huh. Well, pretty extraordinary. Most imaginative. These people standing about in the clouds... Oh, it's very imaginative.
Most of what I do is what I've seen.
You have a good feeling for... I hope this wasn't drawn from life. What is it? It looks like the fuselage of a big airliner with a lot of bodies strewn about.
Yes, that's what it is. I did that one yesterday.
It's gruesome. Well, I think you have some talent, and if you'd like to join our class, it's Tuesdays and Fridays from 1 o'clock until 4 in the studio.
I'd like to.
Let me hang on to some of these drawings of yours, may I?
Sure.
This airplane crash is certainly powerful. Now, I'll be seeing Marvin Kingsley tonight. We have a running chess game on Monday evenings, have for years. I'll tell him you're joining us. Checkmate, Marvin, old boy.
I saw it coming, Jacob. You know, you're going to qualify as a grandmaster one of these days.
You're off your game. I know you, Marv.
You're right. I wasn't concentrating.
Marv, that fellow Alan Harvey you sent me, he's a strange sort of man. Quite gifted. I've seen his portfolio. Have you known him for long?
Well, as a matter of fact, I haven't. See, he came to me because he was having some problems in relaxing.
Oh, I didn't ask you what his problem was.
You know, I don't discuss my patients, Jacob. Let's say he may have some guilt, and I prescribe your art course as a vacation from those guilts.
Well, I'll say this, he has a lot of talent. There was one drawing he showed me that...
Hey, do you mind if I turn this up? I'd like to catch the evening news.
No, I'll go make us some coffee. Oh, I forgot to get cream, darn it.
Don't worry, I can take it black.
A jet airliner carrying 200 people crashed into a corporate plane at 6 o'clock tonight after traffic controllers radioed conflicting instructions. This is the scene behind me. One of the worst air disasters to strike this area in the history of aviation. According to...
What is it? What happened?
Oh, something with the TV set. They've still got the picture, but there's no sound.
Do you see that shot of the field? Wait, it can't be. Good Lord.
Oh, I'll turn it off if it upsets you. It's all those bodies.
No, that's not what I mean. Turn it off.
No, they'll get the sound back in a minute. They still got the picture.
Turn it off, please.
Okay.
I want to show you something. Here. This is one of the drawings your Alan Harvey left with me.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
A grisly, almost photographically detailed drawing of a smashed airliner.
And smashed people. Well,
what are you trying to tell me, Jacob?
Doesn't this drawing look exactly like what we just saw on the tube? But exactly?
Yes, I suppose there is a similarity. Oh, I forgot to tell you. You see, Alan Harvey was an airline pilot, so I suppose he drew that from some experience he had.
Marvin, my mind deals in pictures. I would say there's not just a similarity. The real accident and what this man has drawn are identical.
Oh, but how could they be? You said you saw him this morning. He couldn't have drawn it at the airport. It just happened at 6 o'clock tonight.
He said he did it yesterday.
Well, I'll bet if you went through the files and matched the photographs, there's a sameness about most air crashes.
I hope you're right.
I don't understand why you're so upset, Jacob. What else could it be?
It got me to thinking, that's all.
Well, what's your problem?
If Alan Harvey can draw a future occurrence before it happens, I'd say we all have a problem. We welcome today a new member to our life class, Alan Harvey. Miss Johnson, we'll have 2 minutes of warm-up poses, and then we'll begin the longer poses. Arthur, why don't you put your easel beside Alan so that if there's anything he doesn't know, you can fill him in. All right, Miss Johnson.
I'm new to this. What are warm-up poses?
You'll see. Those will be action poses Miss Johnson does up there. You know, poses that no model could hold very long. That one, see? One leg up and hand extended, sort of like a dance pose.
I'm supposed to draw that? What's she doing?
You certainly are, Alan. That's it. Use your charcoal. Fine. Good. Just a few action lines. Alan, that's very good. Contour is excellent.
Fine. What did you say your name was?
Arthur Lewis.
Excellent.
I'm Alan Harvey.
Say, you're not bad.
That's good.
How can she hold that pose?
A little bit more.
Leaning over, one hand way down and the other way up.
Because Miss Johnson is a professional model, Alan. And now suppose we have less talk and more drawing, okay? Good. Yeah. Just a couple of contour lines, Alan. We're not projecting the model's complete form. You mind if I stand behind you, Alan?
Oh, no. No, not at all, Professor Greer.
Wait a minute. Let me see that one you just turned over.
Oh, it's nothing, really. I didn't even know what I was drawing.
Alan, one of the things you've got to learn about our work is no one can afford to be shy or modest. Looking, appraising, it's the only way for me to gauge your progress.
It isn't anything.
Let me be the judge of that. Now pull that page back. You just sketched this?
It took me all of 2 minutes. I told you it wasn't any good.
It's very good. It's just that I'm a little taken aback at what you drew.
Taken aback?
Isn't that a drawing of our model, Miss Johnson? Lying across that bed, bruises on her neck, eyes staring open as if she'd just been strangled to death.
I warned you, didn't I? This would be a story hard to explain. If you like, let's begin by believing some events are coincidence, or, as the phrase goes, a strange coincidence. However, the model, Miss Johnson, isn't dead yet, and as we know, Alan Harvey's wings were clipped for seeing things that weren't there. Did I say foreseeing? Just a coincidence. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Some need to help their country, some have to test themselves, and someone put a soldier feels inside. You'll find us here, America, in today's Army Reserve. We're part of what you earned this pride.
If you're looking for a head start on a career, look into a part-time career in the Army Reserve. The Army Reserve needs people right now to train for a wide variety of important Army career fields. Based on the needs of your local unit, you can pick your own specialty. After a few months of full-time Army training, you'll be back home with a valuable skill, earning a nice extra income in a job you can be proud of.
We're right here, America, in today's Army Reserve. We're part of what you earned is pride.
For more information, contact your local Army Reserve Center, listed in the white pages under U.S. Government.
Go on.
That's my husband, Charlie, in his football game. If your Charlie's like my Charlie, he'll watch a lot of football this year, and you know I'll see my share of games, too. But there really is more to fall than football, and fortunately, Northwest Federal Savings agrees with me. They're celebrating the football season with gifts everyone can enjoy, whether you're a fan or not. All you do is make a deposit of $250 or more at any Northwest Federal Savings Center, and you get to choose one of many nice gifts free or for special low prices. And because Northwest Federal is open 63 hours a week, there's plenty of time to make a selection. I could have picked a set of Federal glassware, a GE electric knife, or a Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. But you know what I got instead? A beautiful stadium blanket to keep us cozy at the games. You know, Charlie, you're a very lucky guy.
Do you remember the old story of the three blind men who were asked to describe an elephant? One felt the big, wide body and said, "It's a wall of leather." The second put his arms around one of the animal's legs and said, "It's the trunk of a tree." And the third blind man felt the elephant's tail and said, "It's a snake." All were mistaken, for none could really see the elephant. Are we perhaps also limited in our vision? And what we think exists may not? Is Alan Harvey able to see what really is with a special second sight that is not ours?
I'll be frank with you. It disturbed me to discover I'd been drawing our model, Miss Johnson, as a victim of a murder. I'd never given it a second look. The truth is, I didn't even remember drawing it. Professor Greer kept looking at what I'd done with this horrified expression. So I was pretty shaken when I came back to class on Friday and set up my easel next to Arthur Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, today Miss Johnson will skip the warm-up poses. The pose she will now assume will be the one held for the entire session. 20-minute poses in the first hour and a half with the usual 5-minute rest periods. All right, any questions?
Yes, Professor Greer?
Miss Johnson?
It's a little chilly in the studio this morning. Could I have a heater placed near me?
Of course. Arthur, would you be good enough to get the electric heater out of my office? Can't afford to have our Miss Johnson catch cold.
My progress that day was as halting as the first days had been speedy. I didn't know what to make of it. Miss Johnson was the model as before, but somehow I could not get her down on paper. For the first time since I'd begun the classes, I was relieved when Jacob Greer pointed to the clock.
That'll be all for today. Class dismissed. Oh, Alan, would you stay on a bit?
Yes, Professor Greer?
I noticed you're having a little trouble today. Some of those lines just not forceful enough.
I was aware of that, too. Something seems to be holding me up now.
May I have a look at what you've been doing?
Of course.
What? Is this all you've done today?
I'm afraid so. I tried. I couldn't even get the simplest action line.
What's that supposed to be?
Where?
In the corner of that page. A table set for two people at the... I know where that is. Yes, it is. That's the Chinese restaurant right here in town. I hope by next Tuesday you'll be taking a more serious approach to your work.
I am serious, Professor Greer. I just don't seem to be able to concentrate on what I see. What's in my mind's eye is so much clearer to me than what's in front of my real eye.
I can't think how you happen to know I just love Chinese food.
I just guessed, Miss Johnson. I wasn't doing anything particular this evening, so I took a chance you might be free.
It so happens this is my one night off in the week.
You mean you've got a regular job as well as modeling?
Well, I just model for extra money. I'm studying piano at the music school.
You're a musician?
Well, I hope to be. Every day but today and Sundays, I go to class from 4 to 7. Then I have a little supper at my place, and then back to the school where they let me practice as late as I like.
That's quite a schedule.
Is painting all you do, Mr. Harvey?
Right now it is, Miss Johnson. What's your first name?
Peggy.
Mine's Alan. It's a funny thing, but I I don't associate the girl who stands up in class and poses, with you.
Well, I'm a little more formally dressed now. You're not married, are you?
I was a long time ago, but my wife didn't like my being married to an airline. I'm a pilot.
I don't believe it. I was married to a pilot, too. But it didn't take us long to discover it was a big mistake.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Anyway, seeing Jacob is much better. No strings and outside of the classroom. He's very amusing.
Jacob? You're dating Professor Greer?
Yes. Why is that so crazy? There's not that much difference in our ages.
No, I'm not saying there is. It's just so, unexpected.
Oh, I see younger men, too. Like Arthur. Arthur Lewis, who sits next to you in class. With the red beard?
Yeah, sure, I know.
He's awfully nice, too. Not nearly as possessive. In fact, in many ways, I think he's more mature than Jacob.
Say, aren't you getting hungry?
Oh, famished. I'll tell you what. You order from column A, and I'll order from column B.
Ladies and gentlemen, it seems our Miss Johnson isn't going to be with us today, and Arthur has volunteered to model for us, so we shan't be losing any time. You all ready, Arthur? Ready when you are, J.G. All right, please begin. Now, I want you all to loosely suggest the action of the pose before you actually sketch the form. Very good, Alan. You don't seem to have any block when it comes to drawing the male form.
It was only that one time, Professor Greer. I'm sure I could do Miss Johnson next time.
Keep drawing. Good. What are you doing now?
Putting in a face.
Well, that's not Arthur's face. It's more like mine. And, Alan, what's that you're drawing in the subject's right hand?
Right hand? I don't know.
I wish you'd stick to what's before you and not try to dramatize things as though you were doing an illustration for a mystery magazine. You've got me holding a pistol. Now I see a doorway and some other body crumpled up against it as though he'd just been shot.
Dr. Kingsley, I really appreciate you seeing me on a Sunday. What I want to say is, how can I say it? I don't think these life classes are doing me any good.
Well, why do you say that, Alan?
I went nearly crazy yesterday, Saturday. I tried to get out of the house, take a walk, but I found myself always coming back to my drawing board.
Well, I think that's a good sign.
But it's not. Nothing's changed. It's all as it was before. I'm seeing things that nobody else sees, only now I'm drawing them. Here, look at these, please. Some I've done in class and some at home.
Yes, I see what you mean.
Do you? Do you really? I'm terrified.
Oh, you draw very well, Alan.
It's what I draw. Here, this one, for instance.
Now, look, you will work your way out of this. Don't worry. It's the mind's way of healing itself.
Doctor, I think you've got it all wrong. Here, look here. I drew this just this morning before I came to see you. I sat myself down, and this happened, like automatic writing.
Well, the drawings are for Jacob Greer to criticize. Now, what do you expect from me?
Just tell me what you see.
All right. It's a young man, about 25, I'd say, stretched out on a slab in the morgue. When were you at the morgue last?
Never. I've never been there.
Well, you've seen pictures.
I tell you I haven't.
But you must have. Then you've forgotten. That happens to be the morgue attached to our hospital, exactly the way you've colored it.
You don't understand. You simply do not understand, do you, Doctor? I don't know what or how I draw.
My dear Alan, you must have been there. The detail, the glare of that green shade, the hexagonal tiles, that one broken tile near the door. Now face reality, Alan.
Forget it.
Do you know the young man you've drawn? That corpse with the red beard?
That's the horrible part. Yes, I know him. His name is Arthur Lewis. He's another student in my class. What shall I do?
When do you go again? To your art class?
Day after tomorrow.
All right. Now, right after class, come back here to my office and bring what you've drawn that day, and we will try again. Now, we'll sit down quietly, calmly, and talk about it. This sort of thing happens more often than not, Alan. We transfer and transpose people we know into the most unlikely situations. See, most of us do it in dreams, but you're doing it on paper.
You don't think it's any more than that, Dr. Kingsley?
Just bear in mind, Alan, you and I are mortal. We can do no more, see no more, know no more than our five senses tell us.
You mean there's no such thing as a sixth sense? Or a second sight?
Well, arithmetically, perhaps. But in fact, no.
Marvin. Well, come in. What are you doing here in the afternoon? You haven't stopped in to see me on a Sunday for I don't know how long.
Well, I hope this isn't a bad time for you, Jake.
No, not at all. Only if I'd known, You see, I have a standing date with a young lady Sunday evenings, but, well, that gives us an hour.
Yes, well, I'll get right to the point. That young pilot I sent over to you, Alan Harvey, well, he came to see me today, and he brought some sketches.
Oh, macabre, aren't they? But splendid. He has a flair.
Yes, well, he's done it again. Well, at least I hope he hasn't.
What has he done?
It seems he's drawn one of your students, a chap with a red beard, lying on a slab in the morgue. Then he showed me another he'd done of a girl, your life model, strangled.
He's also drawn me, holding a pistol. Claims he doesn't know what he's doing, has no control. I've put it down to wild imagination.
Well, I've also told him it was ridiculous to attach any significance to it.
Well, I certainly won't. The very young lady he strangled on paper, I've been seeing quite a lot of for almost 3 months now. I'm taking her to dinner tonight.
You're not serious.
Oh, I am, Marv. Very serious. I know she's been seeing a younger man, but I don't know who he is. But so what?
Jacob Greer, you...
I just may ask Peggy to marry me.
What? Oh, imagine keeping this from me.
I really didn't feel that serious about Peggy until... I don't know, it just grew on me.
Well, congratulations. I'd better go. It was only about Alan that I dropped in. You know, one of these days I'll figure out why he is so preoccupied with death. But I'll give it a thought, Jacob. I'll keep tabs on him.
So will I. I'm very interested in that young man. He has an enormous talent.
Alan, I feel so wicked, I can't begin to tell you.
Why, Peggy? Half of America goes to the movies on a Sunday night and has a soda afterwards.
Oh, it's not that I'm having a soda in a drugstore at 10 at night with a man I've only known for a few days. It's because I've stood up the two guys I usually date.
Who, Jacob?
And Arthur. I generally see Jacob for dinner Sunday night. He gets me home about this time, and then half an hour later, Arthur stops by, and we go listen to music somewhere.
You're going to get yourself into trouble.
And they enjoy themselves.
So why did you go out with me?
Because I love going to movies, and nobody ever asks me.
Well, you'd better beat it home. At least you can keep one of your 2 dates.
And that's our weather for tonight. Here now is the Midnight News. We have just received word of a triple tragedy on the north side involving a young music student who had been doing part-time modeling, a young man who is an art student, and an art teacher. All are dead in what appears to be a double murder and suicide. For a report from the scene of the tragedy, here now is...
Oh, my Lord, I can't be hearing this. It can't be true.
Did Alan Harvey unconsciously set into motion these extraordinary events, or is he cursed with second sight? More often than not, when our second act curtain rings down on Mystery Theater, all of the clues are in, all the evidence presented, and you have an equal chance to solve the mystery. Not this time, for we appear to be dealing in an enigma wrapped in a secret, contained in a sealed book, written about a strange, uncharted land. Come back with your compass when I return shortly with Act 3.
I like pickles, but they don't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
I like pizza, but it doesn't like me.
Send your stomach some Digel.
Digel's special combination of antacid and anti-gas ingredients gives you fast, gentle relief from acid indigestion, heartburn, and gas in just minutes.
I like hot dogs, but they don't like me. Send your stomach some Digel.
For occasional use, only as directed.
Introduce yourself to a remarkable nasal spray that lasts and lasts up to 12 continuous hours. Duration nasal spray relieves up to 12 continuous hours. Duration relieves nasal stuffiness and sinus congestion. So just one use lets you work all day. Just one use lets you sleep all night. Duration relieves 12 continuous hours. And that's Duration, with the longest lasting nasal decongestant. Use only as directed when needed.
This is WBBM Chicago.
Yes, sir. May I help you? Yeah, I was driving around here in the country and I lost... What is this place? This is Wild Olds in Libertyville. Olds, like cars? Yes. Oh. What do you do with them? We sell them. Here in the country? That's right. How come you don't have any salesmen? I'm a salesman, sir. You're... That's right. No, you're not. Yes, sir. Really? Where's your dark glasses and your big checkered coat and your white shoes? We don't wear anything like that. You sell many cars out here? Oh, quite a few. Folks come from miles around to Wild Olds. How come? Well, it's a nice leisurely drive into the country, and they like the relaxed and friendly way we do business. Can you fix me up with a good deal on a new car? Here at Wild Olds, a good deal means more than low price. It means good selection and service and a lot more. How come you're not grabbing my sleeve? What? You're not a salesman, are you? Yes, sir, really? Come on. What is this place, really? It's Wild Olds. You sell eggs I'm a salesman. No.
Wild Olds in Libertyville is the beautiful place in this country. Wild Olds in Libertyville is the beautiful place in this country.
Until I began to host Mystery Theater, I thought of myself as pretty realistic. I believed what I saw and drew conclusions from known facts. Well, I've come quite a ways since then, and now I suspect there's an awful lot to be said for the unknown. What we thought was impossible yesterday is possible today. Couldn't the same be true of tomorrow? In our world, anything can happen and probably will. It's that same evening. Fearfully, Dr. Marvin Kingsley keeps listening to the news.
We repeat the first bulletin. Police are investigating 3 deaths on the north side in the apartment of a part-time model found strangled. Also dead, apparently shot, is a male art student and a male art teacher. The woman has been identified as Peggy Johnson and the young man as Arthur Lewis. The police have not yet released the name of the art teacher other than to say...
It can't be. It can't be. Not him. Jacob, please. Be home. Please answer the phone. Please.
Today is Monday. I feel peculiar. I keep trying not to think of tomorrow in another life class. I sit at my table and look out the window. All the little houses. Ours is not a big town. All the capitals of the world I've flown to, Rome, Paris, Amsterdam, London, it all seems like another lifetime. I look down at my drawing pad. I've drawn a heavy-set man standing in a courtroom before a judge. I better call Dr. Kingsley right away.
Alan, I'm glad to hear your voice.
I've done another one of those mysterious drawings.
Have you sketched someone you know?
Not this time. Someone I've never seen before, I know that. A big hulk of a man standing in front of a judge. From the look I've drawn on the man's face and the look on the judge's, I'd say the judge was about to pass a sentence of death.
I'll tell you what you do, Alan. Why don't you walk over here? It'll take you no more than 3/4 of an hour, and by the time you get here, I will have cleared the decks. Bring that drawing of yours, Alan, and we'll talk.
I've lived in Greenfield all my life. Every time I'd come back from some round trips for my week off, I'd find the town pretty much the same. So why I got confused going across town to Dr. Kingsley's, I can't imagine. But I did. turned up the wrong street, and before I knew it, I was lost. So I cut through an unfamiliar alley, and there it was. A fence about 9 feet high. I couldn't see over it. Over the gate was written J. Murty, tombstones, monuments. I opened the gate and looked inside. A yard full of gravestones.
Come on in, young fellow. Don't stand out there.
Oh, thanks. May I?
I'm glad to see you.
You're very expert chipping words into that stone.
Marble. I also do granite.
This is quite a large place you got here. I bet you keep busy.
Well, the work gets kind of lonely. Not many people like to be around gravestones. Makes them think. Oh, let me introduce myself. Julian Merte.
Oh, yes, I saw your sign. I'm Alan Harvey.
You looking for someone?
I'll tell you the truth, I turned down the wrong street. Did you say your name was Merte?
Yes. Why? Do you know me from somewhere?
I don't know. Mr. Merte, have we ever met before?
I don't think so. Of course, I have seen a lot of people in my day. Why? You think we have met?
Well, everything about you, I don't know how to say it. It's uncanny. Hey, look at this, will you? A drawing I did today.
That is quite good. You did that?
This morning.
I have always admired the man who could sit down and draw straight off like that. Now, why did you want me to see this, Mr. Harvey?
The man in the drawing, it just came to me. He looks just like you, Mr. Murty.
Oh, that man there standing in front of the judge looks like me, you say? Why, so he does, Mr. Harvey. So he does.
Julian, where are you?
Here, my dear.
Oh, you have company.
Mr. Harvey, Mrs. Merte, my wife.
Oh, please.
Did you?
Mr. Harvey is an artist, Mary.
Julian, go along and wash your hands. It will be time for supper shortly.
Supper? I had no idea it was that late. I must be going.
No, sir. Please don't go. I've got something to show you.
Or perhaps some other time. I'll come back.
No, it wouldn't take long. 5 minutes, I promise you. Just 5.
All right. Certainly.
I'll be right back.
Young man, I don't know who you are, but I advise you to leave right now. There's a storm coming up.
I should go. I'm late as it is. Someone's expecting me.
Then go. I'll explain to my husband.
But he seems so anxious to show me something.
It's only those gravestones. He's so proud of them, but they won't run away. I advise you, young man, for the sake of your well-being and health, leave now.
My health?
And your peace of mind. Does the name Julian Murty mean anything to you?
Julian Murty? Yes. Yes, I have heard that name. Arizona? No, California, the Rock Bridge. And the Wyoming stone faces. Is your husband that Julian Murty?
Yes.
Why, he's one of the great sculptors. What's he doing in this back alley making gravestones?
He fell out of fashion. It's as simple as that.
But
it broke his heart. He has never been the same.
You mean no one commissions his works anymore?
For 20 years, no one. And that isn't the worst of it. You had better go.
Well, can't you tell me why I should go?
Because sometimes he is not responsible. Not anymore.
All washed, all clean. Oh, say, we are in for a storm, Mary. I am taking Mr. Harvey into the studio.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I'd better go right away.
What? In all this rain, you will get soaked. Come along, follow me. Let's run for it.
This is quite a place. Never seen so many different kinds of gravestones.
These are mostly samples to show people what they can have to commemorate their loved ones. And I like to keep my epitaphs light-hearted.
You do? On a gravestone?
What better place? After all, death is the ultimate joke, isn't it?
I never thought about it that way.
Well, you think about it. Think about it. This headstone here is the tallest I have done. It may be more to your liking. is a sample which I completed only this morning. He flew high, he flew low. Now to heaven may his spirit go. Alan Harvey, requiescat in pace.
That's my name.
This is what I wanted to show you.
My name?
Well, you must believe me, Mr. Harvey. Pure coincidence. I don't know where the name come from. Just entered my head.
But the date's under my name. The first one is exactly when I was born.
Really? A further coincidence.
And the date of death? Today.
Well, I was just making it topical.
You go right ahead, Mr. Harvey, and use the telephone. Supper will be on the table in a moment.
Oh, thank you. I had this appointment, and I just better call.
Hello.
Hello, Dr. Kingsley. This is Alan Harvey.
Oh, yes. I was wondering what happened to you.
I got lost, believe it or not, and then it started to storm, so I'm staying with some people I met.
I can't quite hear you, Alan. Can you speak louder?
No, I can't. This man insisted I stay for supper.
Are you all right, Alan? Alan?
I hear you. Yes, I'm all right. I'll try and come by later, Dr. Kingsley. Goodbye.
You know, I told you, Harvey, I don't get many visitors, especially people from the world of art. And that is why, after supper, I asked you back here in my studio. Mary, Mrs. Merte, funny thing, but she's not that interested in art.
I really ought to be on my way.
Nonsense, I wouldn't hear of it. You know, when it rains like this, and I can't go outside and work on the new stones, I'll spend an evening sharpening my chisels. And you see, I've got my grinding stone here. I put my foot on the treadle, give it a twist, and there she goes. A lot of these chisels are due for sharpening. If you will look under that table where you are sitting, Mr. Harvey, you will find some drawing paper. There are pencils and charcoal in a little box down there. Go, help yourself. I know what it is like to have thoughts and ideas just screaming to be put on paper. It's a compulsion.
I wonder what time it is.
Later than it was, but one always hopes not too late. I see you have begun to draw. Mr. Harvey, I cannot tell you what a pleasure it is to meet you at last.
You were right about compulsion. I wish I could leave.
Oh, I'm not keeping you.
No, not you, Mr. Murty. What I'm sketching. The pencil, it won't stop. My hand has to keep following it.
You have that problem, too.
It's a shame that all your great works are now only tombstones.
Great works. I was great once.
And now nothing but a letterer and a numberer in stone.
I wish you had not said that, Mr. Harvey. You are like all the rest. This is the sharpest I have ever honed a chisel. Do you know that, Mr. Harvey?
We're all failures. That is why we die.
I wish you would not keep saying that, Mr. Harvey.
I am still sketching at this table. And Julian Merte keeps turning his grindstone. All I can hear is the whirring and buzzing of the wheel and the drumming of the rain. The air is close in this studio. I'm rooted to this chair, to what I'm drawing. It's almost finished now. I can see out of the corner of my eye Julian Merte sharpening his chisels and watching me. He's staring at me. Staring.
They found the sketch Alan Harvey was making. It depicted the supreme moment of agony, the final gasp of a man in the last throes of life. The figure in his picture lay sprawled across a table where it had been drawn on a sheet of paper. On that sheet of paper was a sketch of still another man, identical. Then another picture within a picture. Each successive figure had been stabbed in the back with a long-bladed chisel embedded to the hilt. Killed exactly the way they found Alan Harvey himself. I'll return in a moment.
If you're a driver, if you're actually driving a car right now, consider this. 55 miles per hour saves you gasoline, and you know how much money that can cost you these days. 55 miles an hour saves you other troubles you don't need, like to worry about that car behind you with the flashing light on top. It's after somebody else. 55 also saves wear and tear on your car. But even more important than any of those things, 55 saves lives. Since 1974, when this national speed limit began, driving 55 miles an hour has been the single biggest factor in reducing highway deaths by more than 36,000 people. That's a lot of lives. So check your speedometer frequently, and remember, 55 saves lives. One of them could be you.
A public service of this station, the U.S. Department of Transportation, and the Advertising Council.
We accept certain rules of existence on our planet. The pull of gravity, the rising sun and moon, that rain is wet and snow is cold. We feel wind, which we cannot see. You accept the sound of my voice, although you know I am speaking from miles away. We accept from experience and habit. But there are other facts of life and death for which we have no explanation. Yet, can we disregard them? They, too, must be faced, and perhaps you, too, will experience them. All you need is a little second sight. Our cast included Michael Tolan, Joan Shea, Robert Dryden, and Earl Hammond. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
Oh, yes, they'd be delighted for me to tell them of troop movements, secret dispatches, etc. Anything I wish, but Andre refuses to name any specific amount.
But you asked for so little, 10,000 pounds.
We'll write back to John Andre. Peggy, draft up some letter about hats or gowns or whatever. I'll make notes on my views and perhaps, yes, give them some incidental intelligence just to whet their appetite.
This messenger who's coming back, is our letter to be given to him?
No, we're to tell him who in Philadelphia we're writing to.
I'll write directly to John himself. Why not?
You must be out of your mind. Write directly to Andre. Why, you might as well take your carriage and drive to British headquarters or shout our intentions from the housetops. This must be done in secret.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
Frank Blair for Delta, the airline run by professionals. You know, it takes about 150 Delta professionals on the ground and in the air to operate just one flight. I'd like to introduce you to a few of them. Reservations agent Marlene Benson has been answering the Delta phones for 10 years. She'll help you get the best flight at the lowest fare. Customer services agent Mike Anderson is an 8-year Delta veteran. He'll get you through check-in fast and easy. Then there's flight attendant Diana Logan, 9 years on the job. She'll make sure you have a happy flight. And customer services agent George Gergett, 7 years with Delta. He'll race to get your bags to the claim area before you do. You see, when it comes to people, the Delta professionals couldn't care more. So next time you travel to the Carolinas, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, Raleigh-Durham, or Columbia, fly with the Delta professionals and have a great trip. Delta is ready when you are.
CBS News. President Sadat of Egypt chastises fellow Arab leaders who refused to jump on his peace with Israel bandwagon. This is Doug Poling reporting on the CBS radio network. In an interview carried by Egypt's Middle East news agency, Sadat said fellow Arabs who oppose his efforts for peace are like ostriches with their heads buried in the sand. Sadat said such leaders could become the laughingstock of the world. He said the other Arab nations can gain from the peace effort. He claimed, for example, principles agreed on for withdrawal from the Sinai are applicable to the Golan Heights of Syria, which has been under Israeli occupation since 1967. But the talks in Washington on a treaty of peace between Israel and Egypt have some difficulties remaining. Egyptian negotiators are expected to reaffirm Sadat's demand that the treaty be linked to talks for a comprehensive Mideast settlement. More news in a moment.
Hi, Wayne.
Hi.
Enjoy the movie.
Hong Kong firm was split in two, caught fire, and then sank. Fishermen in the area and tugboats from the refinery hauled in more than 20 persons from the water and brought them to hospitals near the refinery complex. Initial reports said there were about 57 persons aboard the vessel. 42 of these were crewmen made up of Chinese, British, and Indonesians. No reports have been received so far from rescuers in the area. Gabby Tabunyar for CBS News, Manila.
An Amoco Company pipeline ruptured Wednesday and spilled 42,000 gallons of crude oil into the marshy grasslands along the Great Salt Lake in Utah. A company spokesman said none of the oil reached the lake, but an Environmental Protection Agency official said some of the crude got into a waterfowl management area on the eastern shore. Among the incumbents who won re-election Tuesday was Governor Jerry Brown of California. Brown held a news conference in Los Angeles and gave his view on the future for his state.
I look ahead to the entire next decade as one that will be much greater than the one we're in now, and that will require training people for the difficult and technological tasks ahead, will require a continued commitment to protect the environmental quality, a renewed effort to open and integrate our society and upgrade all people's skills and allow people, whatever their age or color or sex, to have the fullest opportunity that their talents will permit. And to do all that in a context of real fiscal frugality.
Former President Richard Nixon is planning a visit to France and England later this month. Mr. Nixon plans to arrive in Paris November 25th and make a 3-hour appearance on French television on the 30th. He's to be in England to address the Oxford University Debating Society. Now this.
A moment from last Monday night's Baltimore-Washington game.
Jones back to throw on second down. From the pocket, he throws outside, and touchdown! Baltimore! Roger Carr has touched.
And the Colts beat the Skins 21-17. CBS Radio Sports has 2 exciting NFL games coming up for you this week. Sunday night at 8:50 Eastern Time, Don Klein and Jim Kelly will be at the L.A. Coliseum when the Steelers attack the Rams. Then Monday night, the Oakland Raiders meet the Cincinnati Bengals in Riverfront Stadium. Jack Buck and Hank Stram will be on hand for all the color and play-by-play beginning at 8:50 Eastern. 2 games this week. Sunday night, the Pittsburgh Steelers against the L.A. Rams. Monday night, it's the Raiders at Cincinnati. Game times, 8:50 Eastern, both Sunday and Monday nights here on CBS, your #1 radio network for news, programs, and sports.
Pope John Paul II called on mankind Wednesday to reject what he termed excessively rigid political and economic systems. Vatican sources say he was referring to communism. During his weekly general audience at the Vatican, the pontiff said man cannot exist for a system systems must exist for mankind. While he was Archbishop of Krakow, Poland, the new pontiff stood up to the communist regime and led the fight to gain religious freedom in his country. This is Doug Poling, CBS News.
First in news, we're CBS, News Radio 78, WBBM, Chicago.
Good evening, everyone. It's 11:32 now. This is Alan Bickley on WBBM, News Radio 78 in Chicago.